Welcome, everybody, to Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, aka Vicious Mama, and on today's episode of Mom Street, we are looking forward a bit. I know that it's not even Halloween yet when I am recording this. However, we are going to talk about the holiday season in the Orlando theme parks, so that is on the list for today. Now, I know if you heard at the end of last episode, I mentioned that I thought we were going to have a hub episode this week. However, our good friend Stevie has decided that she needs to take a step back from Mom Street right now, just for some personal reasons. So we are sending her all the love, but she will be not joining us for a while here on Mom Street. But that's okay because we've still got lots of great information for you guys today. And like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, we are going to be focused on the holidays, which seems a little crazy to already be thinking that. But if you are like me, and I figure a lot of our Mom Street community is, you're already looking at holidays, especially if you've got a Disney trip. So you need to know what is available. You need to know what's going on in the Orlando area when you are going to be down at the parks during the holiday season. So today we are talking about 10 holiday experiences for families at the Orlando theme parks. So we are going to focus primarily on Disney because honestly, they have the most offerings that I can chat about. But we are going to talk about some of the other Orlando theme parks as well to give you guys just kind of a full picture on what some of the different offerings are that you have if you are going to be visiting the Orlando area during the holiday season. So, let's jump in to this list. Before I give you my first one on my list of 10 here, I do just want to mention, and I'll try to do my best to clarify this as we go through, that some of these events that I'm going to talk about are free. Some of them are included with the purchase of an admission ticket to whatever theme park it is that we're talking about. But then some of them are also like extra hour events that need an extra ticket for. So I will try my best to clarify that as we go through all of these different things, just to make sure you know whether or not it's something you need to budget extra for, or if you're already going there, if it's included, you just need to kind of plan accordingly for. So, the very first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to holiday experiences in and around the Orlando theme parks is, where can I take my kids to meet Santa? Right? That is something that a lot of families do when they come down around the holiday season. They want to meet the man himself. So, let's talk about at the main Orlando theme parks where you can meet Santa. So, let's start with Universal. At Universal, the one of the only places that you can actually see Santa, not the Grinch, and we'll talk about the Grinch here very shortly, but where you can see Santa is actually on their holiday VIP tour that they offer. So this is obviously an added expense that you would have to plan for. But otherwise, you can only see him in their parade that they do. And again, we'll talk about this here in just a moment. But if you do decide to book the holiday VIP tour, on the tour, you get a couple perks along with just having that tour guide with you. You get priority seating at the Grinchmas show. You get a meet and greet with the Grinch and Max. You get a special viewing area of the Macy's parade. And again, we'll go over all this here just momentarily. You get a meet and greet with Santa and a special viewing area for the Hogwarts Christmas projection show, along with some food and drink offerings as well. So at Universal, that is the only place that you can actually truly do a meet and greet with Santa. Otherwise, you're going to see some other characters that we'll talk about here momentarily when we hop to what Universal has to offer at the holidays. At Legoland, if you're visiting Legoland during the holidays, they have a Lego Santa meet and greet, but you will not find Santa in a traditional sense over at Legoland. If you're heading to SeaWorld in Orlando, you can take their Reindeer Express train to be transported to go visit with Santa. And again, these other parks, we will talk about what all they have to offer. I just wanted to kind of start off with, here's where you can plan to meet Santa for this. Now, at Disney, you have the most opportunities to meet Santa, depending on what your plans are and where you're going to be. So, a couple different places that you can see Santa at Disney. The first is at the Very Merry Christmas Party, which is the after hours additional cost Christmas party that they do at Magic Kingdom. You can meet Santa at Jollywood Nights, which is the after hours extra ticketed event that they do at Hollywood Studios. At Magic Kingdom during normal park hours, if you've got a park ticket, he meets in Liberty Square. If you're headed to EPCOT again and you have a park ticket for EPCOT, he will be meeting this year in Communicore Hall, which is a change from previous. He had been meeting, I believe, in the Odyssey Pavilion, but they are going to move him to the Communicore Hall space this year. At Animal Kingdom, Santa previously met in Dinoland USA at Restaurantosaurus. I haven't seen any official announcements from Disney where and when and if they plan to have a Santa meet and greet available at Animal Kingdom. Restaurantosaurus is still open despite a lot of Dinoland USA being closed, but I don't know whether or not they are going to put Santa back there with all of the construction walls that have gone up. It's a little tricky to navigate back over there, so we'll have to wait and see, but I would anticipate Animal Kingdom having some sort of a Santa meet and greet. We just don't know exactly where it may be for this year. At Hollywood Studios, he met previously near Baseline Tap House, kind of in that area. Again, there's some construction going on over there with the removal of Muppet Courtyard, so we'll have to wait and see what Hollywood Studios says for that. If you are visiting Disney Springs, now the ones that I mentioned earlier, you're going to have a park ticket for, right? If you're visiting Disney Springs, you don't have to have a park ticket to visit Disney Springs. But you can meet Santa inside Santa's Marketplace in the Once Upon a Toy building, and they do utilize a virtual queue for that. So that's something you're going to want to look into ahead of time. This, I believe, will be the third year that they're utilizing that virtual queue system for the Santa meet and greet there. We did it a few years ago with our kiddos, and it was super fun, super easy. It was a really great meet and greet to do. So it is a free option that you have over at Disney Springs. And I do just also want to mention that if you are visiting during the holidays and the weather is warm enough and Blizzard Beach is an option and you do plan to go there, they do have a Santa meet and greet over at Blizzard Beach where you can find Santa in his beach wear. So he will be in kind of like a Hawaiian button-down shirt and swim trunks. But he is over at Blizzard Beach if you do plan to head over there as well. So those are the main places that you can find Santa in all of the theme parks if you are planning to visit the theme parks during the holidays. But let's jump into kind of some more specifics about what each park has to offer. So let's talk about Universal's offerings for Christmas time. And again, we're focused on family offerings. And they over at Universal Islands of Adventure do a fantastic Grinchmas event. So this is super, super good for your youngest kiddos and younger kiddos that are attending the Universal parks. Grinchmas itself is included with your regular park ticket. So if you have a valid admission for Islands of Adventure for the day, then you will be able to experience the things that I'm going to be talking about. This year, it runs from November 21st through January 4th of 2026. So generally speaking, that's about the range that you get with Grinchmas. It doesn't run quite as long as the Disney season, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So there will be decorations up all across the entire Seuss Landing area of Islands of Adventure. They've got a bunch of different offerings that they have during this time period. They've got a Hula Day spectacular live show, which is really, really cute. It's basically just a retelling story of the Grinch, and it features some pretty good music in that. If you're familiar with Mannheim Steamroller, they're a very popular, well-known musical they're not really an orchestra. They're kind of like a rock orchestra group, but they do a lot of Christmas music, and their music is featured in that show. The big draw here is the meet and greet with the Grinch. This is the one that you see all over social media. It goes viral every year, people having these really hysterical, super fun interactions with the Grinch. Now, the big thing to keep in mind is this line gets so long. So you really need to plan accordingly. You have to rope drop it. You have to go there immediately as soon as you are able to get into the park and plan to wait for a couple hours. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is with that meet and greet because it is so popular. And there's just no way that they can push that, that many people through the line at each time. Now, if you want to meet the Grinch and you're like, we absolutely cannot wait in that line, it's just not feasible. The other way that you could do a meet and greet with the Grinch is by booking the character breakfast that they have. So every year they offer a character breakfast with the Grinch during that time period. It is very limited, so it is a hard reservation to get, and you do need a reservation in order to go. So if you are able to book that, you will have the ability to do a photo meet and greet with the Grinch during your meal. So that is another option, but those are your only two ways that you're going to be able to meet with the Grinch if you do plan to go to Grinchmas during this time period. The good thing to note about this is that a lot of the attractions in the Seuss Landing area do not have height restrictions, or they have very low height restrictions. So it is a very, very accessible area and a very accessible experience for really young kids, which is really nice. I do just want to mention that along with the Grinchmas aspect, Universal Parks does also do a Macy's parade. So think about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade that you're used to seeing, on your TV that goes through New York City on Thanksgiving, and Santa's at the end of it, the big balloons and it's kind of this big spectacle. Well, Universal does its own version of this in the parks during the holiday season. So it's a really, really fun thing to do. Now, do keep in mind that this is over at Universal Studios. So if you remember when we did our whole Universal breakdown, there's two main parks at the Universal complex, not counting Epic Universe, which is at a separate location. So Grinchmas is in Islands of Adventure, but this parade takes place in Universal Studios. So planning wise, you may just need to take a look at that depending on what tickets you have and what your plans are for your time when you're at Universal. But the description of this Macy's parade is catch larger than life balloons floating through the streets of Universal Studios Florida, along with appearances by the Minions and some of your favorite characters from DreamWorks Animations, Shrek, and Madagascar. So lots of really fun characters in that. Really good holiday feel because the Macy's parade is so iconic for the holiday season. It typically runs once a day around 5:30 p.m. It is subject to change, weather and things can adjust that time, but typically 5:30, and it's about a 30-minute experience. So if that's something that draws you in and makes you, excited about the holidays, maybe figure out a way to piggyback seeing the Macy's parade on the evening that maybe you visit the Grinch and Grinchmas during the morning. So that is the main offering for families over at Universal. There are some other themed shows and things in the Harry Potter areas, but that is the main family kind of focused activity that you can do over at Universal for the holidays. So, moving on to number 3 of our 10 holiday experiences for families at the Universal theme parks, let's talk about Legoland. Legoland is a theme park that is not too far of a drive. Now, I will mention that if you are planning to do some of these other theme parks and you're staying at Disney, you're staying at Universal, you may want to look into a car rental just to help with not only car seats and booster seats and things like that, but also these distances are not necessarily all ones that you're going to want to do like a Lyft or an Uber for. So just take that into consideration depending on what your plans are for visiting the different parks whenever you are down there. But the holidays at Legoland, they have some more specific dates that they run their holiday events at. So for this year, December 6th, 13th, 20th, and then the 24th through the 31st. And Legoland is typically open 10 to 7, so 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. All of their holiday experiences are included with your regular ticket price. So if you've already got a ticket and are planning to go to Legoland, that's something that will be included. Some of the fun things that you can see over at Legoland, they have a gigantic Lego Christmas tree. So envision the big, huge theme park trees that you're thinking of and used to seeing at some of the Disney parks or resorts. They have a massive Lego Christmas tree, which is super fun. They also have a life-size Lego reindeer sleigh that you can see, super fun. Now as far as meet and greets go, we talked about that they don't have a traditional Santa meet and greet over here, but they do have a Lego Santa meet and greet. So imagine one of those little minifigures in Lego, just life-size. So you can meet life-size Lego Santa. They also have a Lego gingerbread man, meet and greet that you can do as well. Again, think about those minifigs and just imagine them being life size. They have quite a few shows that you can attend if you are headed to Legoland for the holidays. They have the Elf Extravaganza show, which is basically just like an elf training academy show. Super cute. They have Festival of Flurries and the Very Merry Mix Up, among other little shows and entertainment all throughout the park whenever you visit there. They also have tons of interactive holiday activities, and this is super fun because they've got them kind of spread out all over the park. So you will find different crafts or coloring or activities like that. You also find obviously ton of Lego building things that they can do that is all themed around the holidays. Um, One of the unique things that Legoland offers at their holiday event is they have a spot where you can write letters to Santa. And they actually have a whole little mailbox area that you can take your letters to Santa and mail them right then and there, which is a super fun little touch that they have. They do also have holiday food offerings throughout the parks. Again, we don't quite have menus for those yet. We're a little too far ahead, but definitely keep an eye out if you are visiting Legoland for the holidays. And then just something to note that after their kind of Christmas time has ended, right here between Christmas and New Year's from December 26th through the 31st, they do New Year's fireworks, but they don't do them at midnight. So they don't make you have to wait with your little kiddos to do them super late in the evening. So they do them at an earlier time so that it's much more family friendly if you wanted to do some fireworks over at Legoland. So that kind of in a nutshell is the rundown of what Legoland has to offer. Again, as we're recording this a little early in the season, we don't have all the specifics for all of these events quite released yet, but make sure that you check out their website if you are interested in finding out more. Once we get a little bit closer, probably right after Halloween, we'll get some more details on some of these events that they've got going on. So, another Orlando theme park that we don't talk a ton about here on Mom Street just because I haven't been there yet and I need to get there just to do some of my own on the ground research. But that is SeaWorld. So let's talk about SeaWorld Orlando and what their Christmas celebration looks like. Their celebration is select dates. So not every day, but select dates starting November 7th all the way through January 5th. So that is their kind of time frame for their event. This again is included in your admission. So if you're planning to go to SeaWorld, these things that I'm going to talk about are all going to be included, except for one, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. Um, they do also have a ton of really awesome special holiday ticket packages that include things like reserved seats for the shows and some merchandise credits and things like that. So keep that in mind if you are looking to maybe add SeaWorld to a trip that you've already got planned. So definitely a really good price point if you want to, piggyback SeaWorld onto another trip that you may already be taking. The nice thing about SeaWorld is they've got a ton of really recognizable characters. So we talked about the Grinch, obviously. We talked about Legoland has more of the Lego brick, minifigure kind of characters, maybe not quite as recognizable for some kiddos. Um, but SeaWorld has Sesame Street IP. So they've got a ton of Sesame Street friends that do special holiday shows and things like that. They also have Rudolph from the traditional claymation, Rankin Bass version of Rudolph, if you're familiar with that, one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. But they also, from that movie, have a meet and greet with Bumble, the abominable snowman from that movie, who is one of my favorite characters. Um, And they do also have a Santa meet and greet, which we talked about here just a little bit ago in this episode. So, some really great meet and greets that you can do with Sesame Street friends, Rudolph and Bumble, and Santa as well. They have quite a few shows. They have an Elmo Christmas Wish show. They have a Big Bird Christmas Story Time show. They have an Elf Story show. And then they also do have the Oh Wondrous Night show, which is more of like the traditional Christmas nativity type of show if that's something that you're interested in attending. They do have holiday fireworks. They have a Sesame Street Christmas parade that is specific to Christmas time. They get the infamous Snope. So if you're familiar with the snow that happens a lot on Disney property, it's a little soapy, so people tend to refer to it as Snope. But they get that. They have tons of decorations. They have an ice show, which is the Winter Wonderland on Ice show, which is fantastic. If you have seen any of our good friend Kirk at Walrus Carp's coverage of this event, you will know that the ice shows that they have are just next level, fantastic entertainment options for that. They do also offer public ice skating during limited hours of the day. Now, the ice skating is an additional charge. So that is the only thing that I'm mentioning about this SeaWorld event that is not automatically included with your park ticket. So that is an additional fee that you have to pay for that the public ice skating if you yourself want to go and ice skate while you're visiting SeaWorld. They also do have a holiday train display, holiday food offerings, and all of their attractions and rides are open too. So they've got a lot of really fun attractions. They've got some great coasters. They've kind of got a little bit of everything for every age, between the animal attractions, the rides that they've got, all of these amazing fun offerings of different characters and shows. SeaWorld is a really, really great place that you can visit during the holidays for almost every age. So now that we are leaving those other theme parks, we're going to pretty much stick to Disney for the rest of our list. So let's head over to the Disney theme parks and talk about all of the offerings that they have for the holidays. Now, the really great thing about Disney at the holidays is they have a ton of options and they have a lot that are free or included. It's really easy to kinda see a little bit of everything and plan just a whole trip around all of their holiday offerings. So, let's talk about the rest of the holiday offerings that we can find over there. And again, reminder that we're focused on experiences for families. So, I'm going to talk next about Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at Magic Kingdom. I am not today going to talk about the Jollywood Party over at Hollywood Studios. That is geared more towards older kids, teenagers, adults, right? So I'm just going to talk about the Very Merry Christmas Party during this episode for that reasoning. Now, this is a special ticketed event. So we've talked about Very Merry on Mom Street before. I'm not going to go into a ton of really specific details. If you guys want more details, let me know. I'm happy to do another refresher episode on Very Merry if that's something that you guys want. But we have covered it before, so feel free to hop back in our archives over on our YouTube if you want more information about what the offerings are over there. But this is a special ticketed event for this year. The dates run from November 1st through December 21st. And the price range in tickets ranges from about $169 up to $229 per person. So again, it is that special ticketed event. As of right now, when I'm recording this, only the first date is sold out for Very Merry. I do anticipate that changing though, because even where we're at right now with Not So Scary Halloween Party, we are more than a month out from Halloween and it is completely sold out. So keep an eye on that, especially if you're someone that wants to get tickets. I would get them sooner rather than later so that way you don't miss out on the dates that you want, because it is not every day in that November 1st through December 21st timeframe. It's about twice a week to start, and then once you get closer to Christmas, they ramp that up to about 3 to 4 times a week, depending on the week and depending on the day. So you don't want to miss out if that's something that you're really looking forward to. Um, a couple of the highlights about the Very Merry Christmas Party. They have seasonal decor all over the park. I'm hoping that they're going to expand some of that again, like they did with Halloween. So it used to be that Halloween and Christmas were just kind of primarily focused on Main Street, right? It was the train station all the way through kind of the hub area of Main Street was where we primarily saw all of the decorations. Well, this year for Halloween, they expanded some of that. We got pumpkins outside Winnie the Pooh. We got some different shaped character wreaths outside in Storybook Circus area. So I'm hoping that with Christmas and the holidays, we'll maybe see some of that expansion happen for those decorations as well. I think that would be super fun to see some Christmassy touches throughout more of the park than just Main Street. So we'll have to wait and see. But traditionally, Main Street is the hub kind of area, the focus of their different decorations. They do the Snope. So we talked about the Snope soap snow that they do. So they do that on Main Street as well. There are ride overlays, so you can get Christmas music on Space Mountain. You get Christmas music on the teacups. You get the very famous, infamous, if you will, Jingle Cruise in place of Jungle Cruise. Now, that one is available during regular park hours. The other two are not. They are only available during the party. You also get an overlay over at Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor as well. They do have in place of, if you're familiar with Not So Scary, they have those trick or treat stops. Well, at Very Merry, they have cookies and hot chocolate and apple cider at those locations. So that is what they have kind of in lieu of the trick or treating. They have those cookie stops for you. They have a special parade that is like Minnie's Very Magical Christmas Parade or something like that. They have a special fireworks show. They have a special stage show that's got some really fun songs to it. Tons of exclusive characters and exclusive merch. So it's a really, really fun event. It's a little pricey, so you definitely want to take a look at your budget and see whether or not it fits into what you're hoping to do. But it is a very, very fun event that you can take your whole family to, and everybody will find something that they enjoy when it comes to that. Um, Moving over to another Disney park and what they have to offer, let's talk about EPCOT. So, EPCOT does have the International Festival of the Holidays. So, this is one that is traditionally in their festival rotation. So, if you're familiar with, they have Food and Wine, they have Flower and Garden, Festival of the Arts. This is just included in their festival rotation for this time of year. It is all included with your EPCOT park ticket. So, this is not a special extra event. We just talked about Very Merry. That is an extra event. The International Festival of the Holidays is not. So it is included this year for 2025. It is running November 28th through December 30th. So just over a month, and that's fairly typical. It usually opens after Thanksgiving. So you will not see this festival running if you are visiting the parks for holidays during November. You need to wait until after Thanksgiving if you plan to do this event. A couple of fun things that they have. We mentioned earlier that Santa does a meet and greet. This year, he is meeting in Communicore Hall. So that is the location that you'll find him for that. Now, we don't know if they're going to do any sort of like a virtual queue or what the meet and greet over there is going to look like. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what they have planned for that location. One of the very most popular events during the Festival of the Holidays is the Candlelight Processional. This is an event, this is a show that happens at the pavilion in the American or at the stage in the American Pavilion, where you typically see like the concert series and things like that happen. This is the equivalent of that for Festival of the Holidays. So Candlelight Processional is a ton of cast members that come together and sing a bunch of more traditional Christmas songs. They tell the story, the traditional. We talked about, SeaWorld having that nativity scene. As one of their shows, they tell the traditional story from the Bible for Christmas. The big draw with this is they have a ton of celebrity narrators. So you will get people that are big name celebrities that come and do the narration for the show. And they tell the story while the orchestra and the choir kind of enhance it with their music. So that is one of the biggest draws of this time of year for the Festival of the Holidays. That is a nightly show that they do 3 times a night. They do a 5 o'clock, a 6:45, and an 8:15. And that's pretty standard for those times. Now, there is a dining package you can also purchase with that as well, so look into that if that's something that you're interested in doing. Now, aside from Candlelight Processional, they also have these really fun holiday storytellers around World Showcase. So nearly every country throughout World Showcase will have whatever their equivalent is of like a Saint Nick or a Santa type character, and they will tell the traditional stories of Christmas time from whatever country it is you're visiting. So in France, you'll get the French versions of those traditional stories. If you're visiting somewhere like Morocco for World Showcase, you're going to get something completely different. So that is a really, really fun thing that they have, and a really unique way to kind of experience the holidays, especially if you've got kiddos that are, a lot of kids I know learn about like Christmas around the world, or they learn about some of these types of things at school. Well, this is a great way to kind of enhance that, and just give them that world view of so many people celebrate Christmas in so many different ways. And I think that's super fun. There will be obviously the kitchen food booths, the holiday kitchen food booths. So just like any other festival at Epcot, you get those extra food booths. We don't, again, have menus for those quite yet. We are a little early for that, but stay tuned to Disney Parks blog for that, or through our partner in Chip and Co. They always cover all of that as well. For the food booths, they also do a cookie stroll. So if you're familiar with like a meals fromage montage during Food and Wine, we've talked about, where it's like you go around to the different food booths and you get stamps for the different things you try, and then you get like a little completion prize at the end. Well, they have the cookie stroll for the Festival of the Holidays. So they have a big list of different cookies from the different food booths you can try. Once you've tried 5 and gotten the little stamp proof of purchase in your booklet, you can get your completer cookie. Or they've done hot chocolate packs before. They've done like a cookie mix, I think it was last year, where you could like take it home and like bake the cookies together. So a fun little thing that you can do, if you want to do a little cookie sampling throughout your family. I think that's a really fun thing that you can do during the Festival of the Holidays. Let's see. If you are into the scavenger hunts, they've got the Olaf's magical holiday scavenger hunt. If you're familiar with the short, and I'm gonna forget the name of it, but the Christmas Frozen short that is on Disney Plus, where Olaf goes around looking for all the holiday traditions. That is what this scavenger hunt is based off of. So he goes around, and you have to find where Olaf is in the different countries of World Showcase, and complete your scavenger hunt with the stickers for that. The other big draw during the holiday season is one of the most beloved attractions at Epcot. Living with the Land gets a really fun overlay. So they call it, I think, is what, glistening greenhouses. But you can, when you visit at night, they have tons of holiday Christmas lights all over that attraction. So it's a really fun experience to see during the holidays, and something completely unique that you wouldn't, see normally during any other time of the year. Now that is available. You're gonna see it, I should say, you're gonna get the most out of that experience if you visit it after it gets dark. But keep in mind that you will see those wait times for Living with the Land skyrocket as soon as that sun gets anywhere close to going down. So plan accordingly. Maybe grab a lightning lane if you need to, or plan to get in line, and just know that you may have to wait 30-40 minutes, where Living with the Land is typically a 5-10 minute wait. So keep that in mind if that's something that you want to experience over at Epcot. So again, all of that for the International Festival of the Holidays is included in your Epcot ticket. Let's talk about something over at Disney that's actually not in a park. So the next couple things we're actually going to talk about don't take place inside the Disney parks, but they do take place on Disney property. And the next one, we were just talking about scavenger hunts not that long ago. This one kind of goes hand in hand with that. And that is the Christmas Tree Stroll at Disney Springs. So Disney Springs is open to anybody who wants to visit. It's not something that you have to be staying on Disney property or going to the parks or anything like that. Anybody can visit Disney Springs. And this is a free activity that you can do when you visit Disney Springs. They'll have a couple different locations that they'll announce as like your starting locations, where you will pick up a map guide and a sticker sheet, and you will go around and match the stickers to the locations of the Christmas trees. So the trees that you will find will be themed to all sorts of different Disney things. They've got Haunted Mansion, they've got Disney Cruise Line, there are Disney movies that they'll do, you know, anything and everything you could think of. And there's probably, I didn't count. I should have grabbed my kiddos one because I know my son still has it from when we did it a couple years ago. But there's like 18 to 20 trees all across Disney Springs. So it's so much fun. It is a ton of walking. So keep that in mind if you've got kiddos that are maybe borderline stroller, or you're like, oh, we might not need it just to go do the Christmas tree stroll. You will go across the entire length of Disney Springs trying to find these Christmas trees. So keep that in mind. When you've completed your map and found the locations for all of the trees, you can return it to a redemption location, and you get a little button that says Christmas Tree Stroll Disney Springs and the year, I believe, on it. So just a cute little completion button prize whenever you have done that. But my kids are huge into the scavenger hunts. They love doing them at EPCOT. It's one of their favorite things to do. They loved the Christmas tree stroll. And we did break it up a little bit. We did a few, and then we would, grab something to eat, or, walk around in one of the shops and then go back and do a few more. And then like went and met Santa when our time was called with our virtual queue, which I talked about earlier, with meeting Santa at Disney Springs over in Once Upon a Toy. And then we went back and finished the rest of it. So it was a super fun day. Some of them are hard. Some of the scavenger hunts inside Epcot are a little more obvious than others, right? This Christmas tree stroll one was tricky to kind of navigate and find all of the trees. And a lot of them there's some little pockets that are kind of close together. So it was fun for my husband and I to participate too, and to help the kids, because some of them they needed some help on whenever we did it. But it is a super fun, absolutely free activity that you can do during the holidays over at Disney Springs. Another completely free activity that you can do over at the Disney World resorts now is to look at all of the gingerbread creations that they have. So Disney is famous for their gingerbread creations and sculptures that they do during the holiday season. So I'm going to talk about kind of the different ones that you can go see, and talk about how to get there, because it can be a little overwhelming trying to figure out how to get to the Disney resorts, because if you've got a car, not all of them will let you park there, so you're better off taking Disney transportation. So most of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to mention how to get there through Disney transportation. So let's talk about the different resorts that have gingerbread displays and what they are. So the first one on my list being Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. This one is the hardest one to get to, because you can only get there via the Disney buses. So you could start at a park and get to this resort from there. You cannot take a bus from resort to resort. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky, trying to navigate. You'll see some of these other ones that we're going to talk about are on the Skyliner line or the monorail loop. This is the hardest one to get to. So it is accessible via the Disney buses. And their gingerbread display is so cool and so adorable. But they every year have a baby giraffe made entirely out of gingerbread, and a baby zebra made entirely out of gingerbread. And they are just phenomenal to see. And they are life size, full size. Now you got to remember, a baby giraffe is not, full size. But you can go see them in the lobby of Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they are so special and so unique and so fun to see. So that is a really fun one to be able to go and visit. Now, let's talk about some of the other ones. The next two that I'm going to talk about are very close together. So let's talk about Disney's Beach Club Resort. That is another one that does a gingerbread display. The Beach Club Resort is accessible a couple different ways. If you're at Epcot, you can walk there through the International Gateway entrance and exit, which is between the UK Pavilion and the France Pavilion in World Showcase. Um, if you are along the Skyliner, you can take the Skyliner to Epcot and then walk there from there, because it is adjacent kind of around the corner to the boardwalk area. So that's how you can get there from various different places on property. Again, you can always take a bus to the beach club from a park as well, except for Epcot because you'll just walk there. But if you're at Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom, you can take a bus to the beach club from there. But they do a gingerbread carousel, and the carousel rotates, and it is phenomenal. It's amazing to see what they can do with gingerbread. It is absolutely incredible. Last year's theme, so every year they do a different theme for the carousel. Last year's theme was the Mickey version of A Christmas Carol. So all of the horses were themed to different characters and different things from that. The year before was a DuckTales theme. So we found Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Scrooge, Uncle Scrooge, and Donald on that one. Super, super fun. Absolutely beautiful, magnificent to, stand there and watch it rotate around. And I should mention that at all of these locations, they will have like a little plaque somewhere that says like what all the ingredients are that they use. So it'll talk about, how many tons of sugar and things like that that they did to create them, which I think is super fun to read and to look at and to talk to your kids about, like, oh my gosh, did you see they used, I don't know, 3 dozen eggs to make this, things like that. I think is super fun. So that's at the beach club, is that gingerbread carousel. Now, around the corner over at Disney's Boardwalk Resort, they also have a gingerbread creation. It is typically a house, like a gingerbread house of some sort, but it also will typically be a miniature version of a boardwalk classic. So last year, they recreated the Boardwalk Deli building in gingerbread, and that was what their creation was for the year. So I should mention also that you can reach the boardwalk area in the same ways that I just mentioned for Beach Club, through the International Gateway exit at Epcot between the France and the UK pavilions, the Skyliner, also, or again, those buses that I talked about if you're at a different park. Again, you cannot take Disney buses from resort to resort. You're going to have to be at a park to get to these resorts that we're talking about. So again, the Boardwalk Resort has typically a miniature version of some sort of boardwalk classic. If it's not that, then it's just more of a standard gingerbread house that you'll find over there. Moving on to our monorail resorts, let's talk about the gingerbread creations that they have over there. Let's start with the Contemporary. So Disney's Contemporary Resort can be accessed through the monorail loop, or if you are at Magic Kingdom, you can also walk. There's a walkway to the Contemporary. Once you go out the gates, you're going to want to go all the way to the left, and you'll find a little sign that says like walkway to Contemporary, and follow that. But that is where you will find the Gingerbread Castle. So this is one that, if you remember, the monorail does go through the Contemporary Resort, and you can actually look down and see it as your monorail pulls into the building. It's on the main level. So it's a little confusing at the Contemporary because if you're walking there or taking a bus there, you actually go in underneath what everybody considers like the main area of the Contemporary, where like Contempo Cafe and Chef Mickey's and their Fantasia themed gift shop is. That's like the third level, I want to say. I'm pretty sure that's right. Don't quote me on that. Apologies if that's not the right number, but I believe that's the third level of the resort. So that is where you will also find this gingerbread castle on the one far end opposite of the Chef Mickey area that you see on that level. And every year they theme that castle a little bit differently. One of the super fun things that I know they do at several of the gingerbread displays, but I know for sure they do it here, is there are always a certain number of hidden Mickeys that you can find in that castle display. So that was something that my kids and I had a really fun time standing and looking for and trying to find, because you can't get too close to it, so it's from afar. You have to see if you can spot the little itty bitty tiny hidden Mickeys that they include on that one over at the Contemporary. Now, while you're on the monorail loop, let's head over to the Grand Floridian next. Now, I do unfortunately have some sad news for 2025. Typically, the Grand Floridian houses the massive, iconic gingerbread house that is big enough that there are bakery workers that are inside staffing it, making all sorts of yummy treats. But unfortunately, due to construction in 2025, they will not be having that iconic gingerbread house, which is so sad, but it's gonna be okay. I'm excited for the, renovations they're doing to the lobby over there. It's gonna be really great. Look those up if you haven't seen them. They're adding some really fun elements. Um, so we don't know for 2025 what they're going to do at the Grand Floridian. Are they going to have something smaller in place of the traditional gingerbread house? I feel like they have to do something. They can't just leave us hanging and not do any sort of gingerbread house over there, but that remains to be seen. Again, you can access the Grand Floridian Resort through the monorail loop. So find your way to either the Ticket and Transportation Center or Magic Kingdom. Hop on the monorail, the resort monorail, to get you there. So those are some of the gingerbread displays at the resorts. I do just want to mention also that there was a gingerbread display last year at EPCOT. Now, this would not be something that would be free of charge to go visit. You would need to have a park ticket for EPCOT. Last year, they had a huge gingerbread spaceship Earth over at EPCOT. So it was in Communicore Hall. They've announced that this year the Santa meet and greet is going to be in Communicore Hall. So we'll have to see what Epcot plans for us this year. But last year they did have like a Spaceship Earth one complete with some little lights. Again, you must have an Epcot park ticket if you want to view whatever it is that they plan for this year. It makes me wonder if maybe they're gonna flip-flop, right? Because last year Santa did his meet and greet inside the Odyssey, and Communicore Hall housed the gingerbread display. So I wonder if they're gonna flip-flop those 2. We'll have to wait and see what happens, and see what Disney decides to do about that. But I did just want to mention that they do have that gingerbread display in there as well. Um, I do want to mention something fun that you can do, and we're gonna talk about Christmas trees here momentarily, but doing like a gingerbread tour and a Christmas tree tour at the Disney resorts is such a fun way to experience the holidays over at Disney. So I think that's a really fun way to kind of uh, pick your highlights from each, because I am going to talk about some of the other activities at the other Disney resorts here in just a moment. But you can kind of piggyback those two together to make a really fun day where you're just kind of roaming all around Disney property and maybe seeing things that you don't typically see. I know myself included, a lot of people that visit Disney just focus so much on the parks that you miss a lot of the magic that also happens at the resort. So, spending some time exploring the resorts is a really, really fun way to experience the holidays over there. So that's super fun. And just a fun little side note, because as I was reading and researching about the gingerbread, um, and I do remember I've heard this before, but you will find that a lot of the structures of these displays are reused. So like the structure for the carousel, they keep and reuse it year after year. However, what do they do with the actual edible part? Well, the gingerbread and anything sugary confectionery related are set out to a nearby Disney tree nursery to help feed the local bee population. So that is so fun to get to know that that's what they take, that's where they take all the gingerbread pieces out to the Disney tree farm for the bees. So I just think that's super fun. Um, okay, so we got through all of the gingerbread. We've got two more things on my 10 holiday experiences for families in the Orlando theme park. So we're gonna stay in Disney because, like I said, the rest of my list just ended up being Disney. But let's talk about some of the other Christmas activities that you can find at the Disney resorts. So, the great thing about the Disney resorts is that every Disney resort has some sort of a themed Christmas tree that has decor that matched the theme to the resort. So, for example, if you stay at Art of Animation during the holiday season, you're going to find art different art supplies and drawings on the tree. If you go over to somewhere like, let's see, Caribbean Beach, you're going to find different Caribbean decor over on their tree. So you've got a Christmas tree no matter what resort you visit, which is super fun. I want to mention just a few resorts that kind of have some above and beyond activities. Again, they all have a tree, and every resort is going to have some sort of a themed weekly activity that matches the holiday season. So they do movies under the stars. They're probably going to be Christmas movies. Their events and their different activities that they have for the kiddos that are staying there are all going to be holiday themed. So they have no shortage of holiday activities at these resorts, but a few of them kind of go a little bit above and beyond. So I'm going to talk about three others here that you could maybe pair and partner with some of those ones we talked about with the gingerbread earlier. And this first one I'm going to talk about is actually a really great one that you can pair with some of the ones we talked about earlier. So earlier we talked about the beach club and the boardwalk. Well, let's talk about Yacht Club. Yacht Club is the sister resort to Beach Club, and it is found in that same little kind of L-shaped area outside of the World Showcase exit for International Gateway for EPCOT. They have a full Christmas display in their lobby that is complete with working trains in a Christmas village. And we stumbled upon this a couple years ago when we did our family trip around Thanksgiving. So my family and I went down the week of Thanksgiving during my kids' break, and we did some of these parties, and then we just did some resort days because we wanted to experience the Christmas trees and the gingerbread and all that kind of stuff. But this display is so much fun. It is a massive tabletop display in their lobby area, and it's so fun to look at all of the little figures that they have set up and the trains. They've got multiple trains running that you can follow around. So imagine if you're familiar with the trains near the Germany pavilion inside Epcot, but imagine that they took that, made it Christmas, and put it on a tabletop. That's what you're going to find over at the Yacht Club. So it is a super fun place to visit, and it's walkable from where we talked about getting to the Yacht Club. Or getting to the beach club will also get you to the Yacht Club. So it's Skyliner, or it's exiting through the International Gateway at Epcot, or taking a Disney bus to one of those locations. And the nice thing is you can hop on a Disney bus, start on one end. So let's say you start on the boardwalk, then you go over to Yacht and Beach Club. You can hit all three without having to take an extra transportation between them. So that's a super fun one, especially if you've got younger kiddos who love trains. That is the place that you want to be. These other two are not quite connected to the ones that we just talked about. However, I will mention that there is still transportation to them from wherever you are in the parks, right? So bus transportation, boat transportation, those types of things. So perfect. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about Wilderness Lodge. Wilderness Lodge is one of the most iconic resorts when it comes to Christmas. And it doesn't have anything really specific to it. It has a fantastic tree, a massive Christmas tree. But there's just something about the vibe over here and the feeling over here because they've got big comfy rocking chairs and tons of fireplaces and a massive Christmas tree. It's just very Christmassy and homey, and it very much embraces the holiday feel. Again, nothing specific other than their tree, but it's just the overall vibe of the resort that really puts you in that kind of cozy holiday feeling. Now you can get to the Wilderness Lodge. The easiest way to get there is by bus if you're at a park. If you're at Magic Kingdom, they also have water transportation. So you can take a boat over to the Wilderness Lodge if you are at Magic Kingdom. If you're driving, the easiest way is going to be to park at the transportation and ticket center, take your monorail or your ferry to Magic Kingdom, and then right near where the boat docks for the ferry, you'll find the boat transportation to Wilderness Lodge. You can also get to the Grand Floridian through that boat, and I totally spaced on that earlier. Thank you. Shout out to Allie Beth in our live chat here who reminded me that you can take that boat over to the Grand Floridian as well. But that is a super fun one. So Wilderness Lodge is a fun stop if you just want to feel that kind of Pacific Northwest cozy pine tree Christmassy vibe is what you get over there. The last one that I want to talk about is a resort that is often confused with the Wilderness Lodge, and that is the Fort Wilderness Resort. So that is a different resort than Wilderness Lodge that we were just talking about. This is where you will find the iconic cabins that you hear a lot of people talking about when it comes to staying on Disney property. So that is again, this is Fort Wilderness, different than Wilderness Lodge. I know it's confusing. I don't know why Disney did that, but we just know that they love to do that to us. They do have transportation as far as you can take a boat there as well from across the Seven Seas Lagoon from Magic Kingdom, or you can do buses if you want to get over there. But they have a ton of really fun Christmas activities. So they have a holiday campfire sing-along with Chip and Dale that they do over there. They have a holiday golf cart parade where the guests that stay there can enter their golf carts because it is such a vast space and they do have those cabins. You can rent golf carts over there to transport you to and from. So they have a golf cart parade where you can, uh, dress your golf cart up in their finest holiday attire. Or you can just go and be a spectator on that as well. The other thing to note is that if you're doing a golf cart rental or you know somebody who is, or you're planning to go over there, the guests that stay at the campsites, whether it's their own campsites or the cabins, they always go all out with their own personal decorations for the holidays. So you are able to drive through that area and see they've got all sorts of blow up inflatables and huge Christmas lights displays. That's not Disney that does it over there. That is the guests that are staying there. And it's just become such a part of the culture over there that people will go just to, go sightseeing for the Christmas lights over during the holidays at the campsites and things like that. So that is super, super fun. It's helpful if you've got someone who's been over there and kind of knows their way around, because it can be a little overwhelming to figure out where to go. But if you don't know where to go, your best case scenario would be to chat with someone at concierge or in the lobby to kind of give you the rundown of how it works over there with that. Um, they also do sleigh rides over there with, like, horse-drawn carriages, which is, I love it. So cute, so much fun. And then they do their own personal holiday cookie scavenger hunt over at Fort Wilderness. So that is a super fun thing. Again, they just go above and beyond with that feel for the holiday season and Christmas vibes. So Fort Wilderness is a really, really great one to visit as well. And again, like I mentioned, all of the Disney resorts, no matter where you stay on property for Disney, are going to have some sort of a themed weekly activity, weekly movie. They're gonna have things like s'mores at the campfire. So you're still gonna be able to find holiday activities no matter what resort you stay at. The ones that I mentioned, again, just kind of have that little extra that they give during the holiday season. All of these activities that I've talked about for this, not only seeing the gingerbread at the resorts, but also the seeing the trees at the resorts or visiting the resorts to do some of these experiences, all are free. Now, things like the sleigh rides are going to have an extra cost. And do keep in mind that things like their holiday cookie scavenger hunt, those are for Fort Wilderness guests only. So take a look online, do a quick Google search if you want to know more about how all these different activities work, because some of them do have some specific guidelines for who can participate or how much it may cost if you do choose to participate in those. Okay, we've got one more on our list of 10 holiday experiences for families at the Orlando theme parks. And again, we're staying with Disney. And this one is just kind of like a little bonus. So it's really like 9.5, but we're going to call it 10 because 10's a nice round number. And that makes my type A brain happy. But something to consider during the holidays, and I'm talking about this primarily with Disney, but I'm sure you could also do something similar at the other theme parks. I just don't, I'll be completely honest with you all. I don't know as much about that. But Disney does offer an enchanting extra capture your moment session. Now, this is something that they offer year round. But the reason I want to mention it now, and we've talked about this before on our PhotoPass episode, a few back, not too far back in our archives there, we did an episode on character meet and greets and PhotoPass. This is something we talked about with PhotoPass. And what this capture the moment session is, it's a 20-minute photo session in the parks. You can choose where you want to go. They have tons of locations that you can go across all of the Disney theme parks. It is $99 for your 20-minute session. But the reason that I want to mention this is if you are visiting during Christmas time, this is a fantastic idea to get your yearly Christmas photo, or take a photo for your Christmas card that you want to send out if you're a little earlier in the season. Um, it is just a fantastic idea to capture some Christmas memories or holiday memories in the parks. I think, hiring one of these PhotoPass photographers is a phenomenal idea for you to really capture the magic and um, have those Christmas photos available to you. So highly recommend, again, if it's within your budget. You can have, I believe it's up to 10 people. So if you've got an extended family trip that you're doing, that would be a really fun thing to do as well. And they take a little bit more time, right? You can always get photos with PhotoPass or the other photographers that are around the theme parks, but when you do these personalized specific sessions for your family or your travel party, they're going to take more time with you, right? So you're going to get a bigger variety of photos. You're going to get more photos, different poses. They're going to, really kind of work with you to get those magical moments captured. So again, my number 9.5 or number 10 is to consider booking something like a capture your moment session. Now, I do know that this is the only way to do, like, professional photos inside the Disney theme parks. I'm not sure about the other theme parks if they, are okay with photographers coming in and doing photos for your family. That's something you'll wanna look up before you look into doing that, but I know that that is the best way at Disney to grab those holiday photos, is to do that capture your moment session. So, that being said, I think we at least touched on 10 really fun holiday experiences for your family at the Orlando theme parks. I hope that this helps. Again, like I said, I know it's early in the season. People are not ready to talk about the holidays yet. However, if you're like me and you know you've got a holiday trip coming up, these are the things you want to hear about. So I wanted to make sure to get this information out to our Mom Street community ahead of time. So that way you had plenty of time to do some research of your own and look into and maybe book some of these little extras that you're able to. Again, the majority of what we talked about are included in theme park tickets or are free. So that is a bonus as well, especially when you've got kids and you're heading to the theme parks around the holidays. Saying no to them is going to be really hard. So anything that you can find that is free or as a low cost is always a good idea. Um, but thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of Mom Street USA. If you've got questions or comments, or you want to make suggestions for future episodes, please reach out to us at momstreetusa@gmail.com. And wherever you're listening to us, make sure you've, subscribed and maybe given us a rating. Those things are all good for us and can help our spread and help us help more people in our Mom Street community kind of get the help that they need and get the information that they need for their upcoming Disney theme park or, Disney or theme park trip that they've got coming up. You can also reach us at Mom Street USA on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those good places as well. And new to our little end of the episode spiel is we have a Patreon page. So if you're interested in more behind the scenes content, little sneak peeks about what is coming up on Mom Street, unedited versions of some of our episodes are posted over there. You can check out our Patreon account. It is just under Mom Street USA. You can find the link to that in our bio over on all of our social media pages. But thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next time on Mom Street USA. Bye, everyone.